evolution already? Maybe in science, it's kind of, you've heard about it, it's come up before. Okay, well, if you haven't already, then you will be in the really near future, okay? What we wanted to do is, different psychologists and stuff, they said, the time that is most important in your life is when you're in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. That's when even like your political views, your social views, all these different things, who you're going to give money to, who you're not, who you think is true, who you think is a liar, happens now. That's why I want you to be the truth now. Because Jen and Jeremiah are going to be teaching about lies in the textbooks, in your school textbooks, how there's lies. Then in David's room, he's going to teach you about how the foundation, the very basis of evolution, where it all comes from, how that's totally wrong, how it's not right, it's not true at all. And, if the basis of something is wrong, how can you trust anything else in it? Well, tonight, what I'm going to talk to you is, we're going to call this class, it's kind of like class number 3. You guys are going to the head of the class. It's like you jump the first 2, but you're going to get there in a minute. Class number 3, we're going to call it Evolution 101. Okay, now I know that sounds like biology, and I'm not even in high school yet, so why are you telling me all this stuff? But stick with me, trust me on this one. It'll be good, okay? Now, I remember sitting in biology class. I had a teacher with like the worst names ever. Longest, worst. His name was Mr. Crookshank. Yeah, kind of a crook, little shanky, I don't know. But I remember him teaching about biology and evolution and stuff. And he was talking at first, and he talked about like Charles Darwin, blah, blah, blah. If you guys can stop moving so much, you're starting to distract me. You gotta go back. Go right ahead. All right. Okay. Okay. Danielle, you can go with me, make sure everything's okay. Lovely. We all know that you don't go to the bathroom once you come to JV. Duh. That's so mature. Everybody knows that you don't do that.
Yeah.
So, and before you go on, we remember those things when you're so highly evolved that you made it to 7th grade. Still. So, I remember being in 7th grade. I was sitting in my class. I remember the hot chick, Nicole, was sitting beside me. And the smart guy was sitting on the other side. Because I always sat by the smart guy. And so I did better.
Peter.
And he started talking about evolution. He talked about a thing called microevolution. Okay? That means like maybe if there's a wolf, okay, and that he's in a giant snowstorm, that some of his darker hair might fall out and his whiter hair might be there, and over years and years and years, that wolf will be able to blend into his area. You know what I mean? Or maybe there's the fruits or the nuts have changed on some kind of tree, and the birds' beaks change a little bit. The ones that have stronger beaks survive because they can open their nuts, and the other ones starve to death. And so those ones, microevolution. The birds stay birds, the dogs stay dogs. Microevolution, they change just a little bit. You ever think about all the different kinds of dogs? If you got a Chihuahua that's this big, okay, and you've got a Great Dane that's like this big. But they're the same. They're from the same family. God created the dog, and then these different dogs have changed. But you know what? You can't like put a dog and a frog together and get something like a frog dog or something. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You don't see them anywhere. So that's what we call microevolution. Is little changes. That the birds change a little bit, that the dogs change a little bit, the horses change a little bit. But what we don't believe in is a thing called macroevolution. Okay, that means like I came from this rock. Okay, kind of like the evolution of the popkin. How many of you thought that was a pretty cool story?
Yeah.
Right. I thought Jeremiah was pretty distracted. Because what your textbooks say, public school textbooks say, when they teach macroevolution, they're teaching that you came from a rock, that you came from a monkey, that you came from a banana. Right? We're talking, this is stupid, but it teaches what I said about that whole evolution of a Coke can. They can't believe that it came from this big bang that we don't know where any of the stuff came from. Then rain, and then in the ocean there was this bacteria that formed, and then it crawled out on land as some kind of fish, and then the fish scales fell off and it became a lizard, and then it grew up and it became a horse, and someday it turned into an ape, and then that's your great Okay? That is whole macroevolution. Do you believe that? I don't. I don't believe that I came from a rock. And you know what? Over 55% of Americans don't believe that either. 10 years ago, that was 10% less. So if you don't believe in evolution, you're the majority of American. But every public school teaches it. Teaches evolution. And actually, the minority of Americans believe it. That's kind of funny, huh? Isn't that kind of weird? So, moving on. Now, whenever you hear teaching about a thing called evolution, this is something that you can use in your classroom. They'll talk about the great scientists who started. Does anybody know the great scientist who wrote The Origin of the Species, came up with the whole theory of evolution? Anybody know? Yeah. Charles Darwin, right? They talk about, oh, he was a great scientist and he went on this boat and he collected all these birds and he made this huge discovery. Well, do you know that Charles Darwin wasn't a great scientist? Do you know that he didn't even have a degree in science or a degree in biology? Do you know what he had a degree in? Theology. He went to school to be a pastor. Never graduated. He didn't finish everything. But he actually became bitter with God. And he went to try and figure out some other way, other than creation. Because if creation was real, that means he was going to hell. But if he could figure out some other way and talk everybody else into it, guess what? Then he could talk himself into God being real. And that's why he made up the whole theory of evolution. Doesn't that mess with your head? And now we teach this guy's lie to everyone in America. But I am really glad that our country isn't buying it. 55% of us don't. So we're going to go to a video right now. We're going to watch a video from a guy. I think this guy is awesome. His name is Ken Hogan. Okay? This guy has studied evolution for years and years and years. Now, he's kind of older. He's a doctor, so he's very professional, but he's also pretty funny. Okay? So we're going to watch his video, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about macroevolution, microevolution, and selection. Go ahead, roll.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Ginge. How are we doing for time, Ginge?
7:52.
Does that mean we need to change in a couple minutes?
Less than 5.
Less than 5? Okay. Let's go with 2. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Sure. Then make sure we got time the rest of the way through so everybody can get it. Okay. So he's saying all these different things. Did you kind of get the picture a little bit more? I kind of introduced it. He kind of explained it a little bit more. And we heard the saying, I'm from a rock. But then also, here's what I want you to think about here. We hear about evolution and Charles Darwin just kind of made it up and whatever like that. And we hear that is false and the Bible is true. But I want you to think about this, okay? You heard the story of the evolution of the mammal deer camel. But to explain evolution, I think of it like this, okay? Pretend I had every little piece from this. This is a watch here. It's also like clips on my keys and stuff, okay? So if I took every little piece, I opened it up, took it apart, took the hands off, took the numbers off, unglued them off, took the little, there used to be a light that flashed in here. And I took all these things, I took the little clipped part off, put it all in here, took the spring off. What are the chances that I put all the parts in here, okay? And I put the top on this and I shake it around, shake it around, shake it around, shake it around. How many times do you think I'd have to do that before I could pull it out and it would be totally all together?
Infinity. You wouldn't.
Oh, the spring got on perfect. Look at the clip works. You know, I've just had this from perfectly put together, and I've broken almost everything out. I've broken the light. The light doesn't work. I've broken there's like one of the hands, the second hand fell off. It's been in my pocket the whole time, and it hasn't got fixed over 2 years. But people in evolution say, well, you know, if you put all the parts in and you shake it around for 1 billion years, guess what comes out? Perfect watch that's perfectly running. You think that's right? I think that's wrong. That's why there's something right now called intelligent design. We can't go into schools right now and say, you know, God built everything, God did everything because of the separation of church and state and some different flaw things that happened in the 1960s. But right now, there are lawsuits against different boards of education and also against different states. Right now, there's 5 boards of education that are getting sued. They're trying to change it so they can teach intelligent design. There's a design that put this all together. There's 9 at the state legislature. There's 12 at both of them. Right now, there's 49 local schools that are being like kind of talked to about teaching intelligent design, because that seems much more intelligent than evolution does. What do you guys think? However, there is none in Illinois right now. And maybe that could be, you could be one of the first ones to bring that up at your school. So we're going to take like a 2-minute break. Why don't you stand up? Anybody their mom gets Time Magazine? Anybody their mom gets Time Magazine? Mom or dad? Okay. Your grandma and I have something in common. We did this whole big like study on Time Magazine on evolution and what people are teaching. This is kind of like a map of different places that are like fighting evolution and stuff like that. But to find out about this whole evolution thing, number 3 we just did was like Evolution 101. This is like teaching number 4. We're going to call this like Political Science 101. Because evolution is a little theory that has an absolutely huge effect through history. Okay? First off, in the history of America, back in the day when America was formed, did you know that it was illegal to teach evolution? If you taught evolution, you were a science teacher and you taught evolution, they would take you, they would lock you up, they wouldn't feed you or whatever, just bread and water and stuff, and you would be in serious trouble because you were teaching evolution. Well, that changed about in the 1960s. There was a famous trial. It was called something like the man or the monkey trial. And that all changed. They took God out of schools. They said, you know what, you have to teach evolution. You can't teach that God created the world anymore. That's not allowed. It was totally turned around. And like I said, I'm really proud of some Christians that are standing up and saying, you know what, we are going to change that. And a whole bunch of states are doing that right now. Well, in the history of the world, what were maybe the 2 biggest, like, probably leaders, you're going to have to answer this, but the 2 biggest, the worst things in the just last little bit politically, things that were terrible, not democracy, but it was some other mindset, it was some other political thing. Americans really dislike this one. It starts with a C. Communism. Who just said that? Great job. Okay. Guess what the basis of communism is? Evolution. Communism has failed all around the world. It's made people poor and destitute and wiped out. But Karl Marx and Lenin, those 2 guys that came up with the whole communist thing, guess what they believed in? They didn't believe in God. They said you had to take God away. Instead, you had to put evolution in. Not only that, what the next worst one, it was the reason that World War II started in Germany. You can think of what that was. Dictatorship by a person and by a political movement called Hitler, and what was his political movement? The Nazis, that's right, okay? Now, check this out, guys. The whole reason that Hitler did these things was because he totally believed in evolution. He actually had a chart that made it up. He said, you know what? There's monkeys, and then the next people that are the most like the monkeys, they're most like the apes, are the Jewish people. And then they're the black people. And then he made this whole chart, and he goes, but you know, us Germans, we are highly evolved people. The only people more highly evolved than us are the Norwegian, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Best human. Oh, that's me. That's supposed to be a joke, I guess. But, so, guess what Hitler decided? He was going to help natural selection along. And instead of letting these Jewish people that were just like monkeys keep on breeding with the other people, instead he was going to wipe them out, and millions upon millions of black people and Jewish people died in a thing called called the Holocaust, which was all because of one thing called evolution. Okay? Not only that, in recent history, you probably remember the first school shooting. You're probably just a little child when that happened. Anybody remember the first school shootings in Columbine? You ever heard of that? Okay. That was one of the first times that somebody walked into a school with a gun and shot some people. And this was the untold story. There were two boys. They were actually studying the Nazis. They also studied evolution. Do you know the date that they picked to go into Columbine was the date of Hitler's birthday? Not only that, they didn't just go in there and start shooting anybody. They targeted different people. They chose a black person. Guess why? Because he was supposed to be like an ape, because they believed in evolution. They believed in what Hitler wrote in his book, a German book called Mein Kampf. Then they also killed two girls. They hunted them down and killed them just because they believed in God. Now, this is one of the reasons why I think it's so important that we don't just go, oh yeah, evolution probably happened, maybe true, but instead we say evolution is Mars. And the Bible is true. One more time, evolution is Mars. And the Bible is true. That's right. Okay. So let's we got one more video here, and then we're going to talk about what you can do to help this out in yours. All right. Go ahead. Let's give it 2 minutes. Okay. Finish off tonight. I hope that your eyes, you're going, whoa. I thought, this creation evolution thing was kind of like, biology class, whatever. But then you're going through and you're seeing these things, and I hope you're going, wow, this is absolutely huge. Well, the thing that you do when you walk into your biology class next time, you don't just stand up on your desk and start, well, my youth pastor said, Darwin was stupid, he was just trying to prove, well, I can't remember what he said. That's not what you're supposed to do, okay? Now, when you go into your classes and someone starts talking about evolution, you can ask some questions. Say, well, Charles Darwin, was he a great scientist? Oh, yeah, he was a great scientist. Well, I heard he never even got a biology degree. He went to school to be a pastor. And then he found out that he kind of fell away from God, and he made up this whole theory just to prove some other way. And your whole class is going to go, how do you know that? And your teacher is going to go, really? You can say, yeah, really, I've studied this. And then something else is going to come up, and we're going to hear a whole bunch of lies from the textbook that you're going to hear. And also next, you're going to hear about the whole foundation of evolution, where it came from, what it's all about, what it's built on, why it's totally false. You're going to be able to prove those in your classes as well. We want to give this to you guys at a young age so you go, wow, I know this stuff. And when people start teaching that, no. Because the theory of evolution is false. And the Bible is true. One more time, the theory of evolution is false. And the Bible is true. Awesome. Okay, we are officially done.
10 minutes. Alrighty. As you know, we're talking about evolution, creation. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. One of the things evolution teaches, one of the theories, is that the Earth is millions and billions and gillions years old. It teaches that the Earth is super old, for whatever reason. But according to the Bible, it's only about 6,000 years old, according to the timeline. You'll see that in the next proof. But one of their proofs, to prove that the Earth is really old, is they look at the Grand Canyon and they say, you see this canyon? That Colorado River carved this canyon out, and it took millions of years. And that's one of their proofs, is the Grand Canyon. They think that proves up how old the Earth is, or evolution, the whole theory, the belief system behind that thing of evolution. So, today we're going to just abolish that. How many of you know that when water hits a hill, where is it going? goes downhill, right? Water flows downhill. Why? Gravity. Yeah, gravity. It's a law of gravity. Scientifically, gravity makes things go downhill. If I poured out a can of pop, it ain't gonna go up, it's gonna go down. Same thing with rivers. Just like the Mississippi or any other river, they're always flowing down a hill. They're going down some kind of gradient, and that's where you get your current from. The Colorado River, though, if you've actually done any study on the Grand Canyon, before it was carved out, the way it is this is a picture of the Grand Canyon, as you can see. Well, the river actually enters in the canyon at 2,800 feet above sea level. Time you get up to the uplift here, it's at 6,000 above sea level because of where the Grand Canyon is. Now, of course, the Grand Canyon is a big hole in the ground, and the river flows at 1,800 above sea level. But if that wasn't there, it'd actually have to flow uphill. Rivers don't flow uphill. 6,000, yeah. It enters in at 2,800 feet, and it would have to go up to 6,000 feet to carve out the Grand Canyon. So rivers, Colorado River could have not have done that. Another thing, the theory is that a lot of creation scientists think around the flood time or around maybe shortly after the flood, around that period. See, if you look at this red section here, see that like red section? And you just fill that up with dirt, that would become like a dam. It would actually dam up the water. And that water would build up behind it, and eventually it would breach the dam. Now when water breaches a dam, it just carves it out. Once it flows over the top, there's no stopping it. It's going. And just recent days, because of Hurricane Katrina, you would see that in New Orleans they had a dam, and it was breached because of all the flooding. And they're trying to put sandbags, they're trying to put sand in the thing it's carving out. It's like 100 yards deep already, and it's just carving out the ground. It's just flowing through that dam like nothing else. And they're trying to throw sand in it and everything else. They can't stop it. It's on its course. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And another proof of it, of how this works, is Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. I'm going to let Dr. Tim Hogan talk to you about that. Either by the flood or a little shortly after, because that's the way it works. And I'm going to actually show it to you right here. Sound cool? Gather around. Yeah. As we see, we got a dam made out of sand here. All right, one more time. When you get the water going, once it breaches it, it's going to carve all that out. So as you see, like most likely the Grand Canyon is carved out, whether it be by the flood or shortly after, and you can see that evolution is what?
False.
Yeah, and the Bible's going to be what?
True.
Yeah, science will always agree with the Bible. It'll never disagree, and that's proven. So good stuff. Good stuff.
Great.
All right, in this room, we're just going to talk about lies in the textbook, and Jeremiah's going to start off, so just give him your attention.
That's right, and I need a lovely volunteer. Did someone? If you want to come up, I'm lovely. Okay, you can come up. Okay, now this is in a textbook that you guys. Some of you guys get in school. Some of you guys go to like a Christian school. Some of you guys might go to. How many of you guys go to Christian Life? A lot of you guys. Well, even you guys in Christian Life, you guys want to listen up, because you're bound to run into somebody someday, and they're going to say, you know what? You're going to say, I'm a Christian, or you know what? I'm not a Christian because I don't believe in God, because I believe instead in evolution. And we learned tonight that evolution is false. That's right. So, this is what they say in the textbooks. Now, can you read this for me? When the first evidence of life they believe started. What's that? How long ago?
2.5 billion years ago.
Okay, and then they started kind of evolving a little bit, they said, and they started like multiplying their cells and growing. The algae started growing a little bit bigger. And how long ago did that happen, they say?
570 million years ago.
570 million years ago. Okay, give hand for my local. So you guys, this is real stuff. People really believe this.
This
And we're
is
gonna
Harlem High School.
this is at Harlem High School. And so we're gonna explain to you why this is not true.
Okay, so this is the book I had in high school, and I got taught that my junior year. Like, that's the actual book I had. So this is stuff that is really taught in public schools. And we have some timelines for you guys just to help you guys understand. This is what evolutionists believe, law scientists, and what they teach in public schools. They believe that the Big Bang happened at 20 billion years ago, that Earth formed at 4.6 billion years ago, and that life evolved at 3 billion years ago. So that's what they'll tell you in schools, in public schools.
And this is what the Bible says.
Yes. That creation happened at 4000 BC, which is before Christ. 6,000 years ago from today. The flood is 4,400 years ago, which is Noah's Ark. And then Jesus' time is about 2,000 years ago, and then today it's 2005. Makes a lot more sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they'll talk about, I remember in class they talked about the fossils. And you would ask, like, how do you know fossils are so old, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, because of the dirt that's found, and that's how we know. Well, how do you know the dirt's that old? Well, because of the fossils. Does that make any sense?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's what I had to put up with in school. I feel like I was the only one. So we're going to show you guys a little quick clip of someone explaining that reasoning for you.
And once I get
Probably the
ready.
one you've seen before, but thanks. All right. So what they were talking about, honestly, this doesn't make sense. And the index fossils that we're talking about is actually found in one of these pages. Index fossils talks about it right here. So exactly what he was talking about is what they get taught in public schools. So if I could have a volunteer. Okay.
Another lovely volunteer. You guys want to clap for a lovely volunteer?
You want to come on over here? And I'm going to give you this cup, and then just fill it up with rocks and dirt, and just pour it into that water glass container. So just, you can scoop it if you want, or use your hands, whatever you want to do. Okay? And you just want to pour it into there. There you go. Good job. All right, now I'm going to put those on it, and I'm going to have you shake it, okay? I'll make sure it's tight so it won't get on. Here, just give it a good shake. Turn upside down, shake it around. Okay, all right. There, thank you very much. Let's give it a round of applause. Okay, so what they teach in public schools is that it takes billions and millions, whatever, years to form layers of rock. So we were like, I don't really know that's true. So we did it ourselves. And we found out it does not take billions of years, it just takes water. And I did this overnight, and that will start forming in a couple of minutes. So it just forms the layers of rock right before your eyes. And just like in the Noah's Ark and the flood just, all the water shook up the layers of the earth, and it formed layers and all the rocks and the dirt and the mud. So it didn't have a Big Bang theory, it didn't take millions of years, it just took water. And it just took all of that. So that's not true, that's something we teach about in the Bible, or not in the Bible, in schools. And then what also another lie is about, we talk about babies in their mother's wombs have gills. I just figured we're not fish, so that's probably not true. So we're going to show you guys a quick clip about this lie they talk about in textbooks about babies having gills. So as you guys can see, there's several lies that are in textbooks, and babies obviously don't have gills. That was proven wrong 125 years ago, and it's still taught today, like biology classes and stuff. So I remember I sat biology my sophomore year, and they will teach you that. So those are lies. Those are just a couple, so just you guys take home with you, take to school. Remember that the Bible is true, and theory of evolution is false.